Well, today we have a true giant in the world of portable radios, the Grundig Yacht Boy. This would probably have been pretty near the top of the Grundig range in the 1970s, and it is quite a nice substantial piece of kit, quite heavy really, even without the batteries in. It takes 6 U2 batteries, that's D cells, the big ones, and I'm not sure I've got those to power it up. However, I've already had a go at powering it up, and what I did find is that someone has put a little socket in the back here and bypassed the battery box, as far as I can tell, or they may have bypassed the optional mains thing, because there was an option with these that you could add in a mains power supply unit. This one hasn't got it. That would have made it even heavier. And there's a little fiddly thing here where you push that down, pull this back, gives you access to a few things, such as another one where you can put a 9-volt power supply in externally, but a very odd connector that I don't recognise. Usual headphone socket and DIN socket for connections to tape recorders and things like that. A couple of external aerial positions. One, I'm guessing that one is FM, that one's AM, because that looks like sort of the 300 ohm dipole type thing. And there's a little mains battery switch which you can't quite see, and I don't know why that is, whether that just isn't correct or not. It's got some big chunky switches on the top. The legend has fallen off here, so we don't know what they are, but you can pretty much guess once you got it running. Usual massive telescopic aerial, and it is quite a big one here. Mostly seems to be okay, except I thought this this thing here, or this missing knob, I thought that would be quite easy to fix, but I didn't really look closely enough, because it's got the usual sort of D-type shaft, but they're usually 1/4 of an inch, and that one's a lot smaller than 1/4 of an inch. So I don't know where I'd get one with that size, a knob for that size shaft now. I've looked around in vain for it. Also, it's not just that, but the fact that it's got this taper that goes inside there, so that the skirt can go on the outside, and so this is actually quite a custom thing, and I don't think it's going to be easy to get hold of another one. So I might have to do a bit of adaptation. So I have some thoughts on how I can get a couple of matching new knobs to fit on there. But that's going to be an experimental thing. The other thing that happened when I started playing with it was I thought, oh, this tuning action is quite nice, and then after a few goes around it, the pointer fell off and inside the set, so it's another chord rewind job, which, as you know, I really like. But anyway, let's get the back off and see what we can see. Let's have a look inside. So yeah, so this is a battery box. I don't know whether the connections to that still exist. This seems to be a mains battery switching option, and there would have been an option to have a mains power pack which you would put in here, I think, and you know, it would be an internal accessory fitment. I'm guessing this is the output of the mains part of that, and that the battery might still work, but I'm not sure. When I look at this, I can so if I try and buzz it out, I'm trying to work out, because it's got the usual nice colours of brown and white, which gives me no clue as to what might be positive and what might be negative. If I try and buzz this out to anywhere on the circuit board, so when I look at this one and I point it at, say, a ground point, I don't get any connection here. And on the other hand, if so I think that's the on and off switch there, still get nothing, but that might be that switch. Yeah, so given that's got the switch in it, I'm suggesting that white one is a positive, and this is a mains battery switch, which is in, I'm not sure, either mains or battery position. But I should be able to connect to PP9 across here with that white positive, and we should get something to happen. So I haven't got temporary power to it. That sounds like very temporary power. Oh no, it's working. It does seem to work. We can receive FM. Now you may be wondering, since I said that the tuning cord had fallen off, why is it actually tuning in? It appears that in the mechanism that drives the tuning capacitor is separate from the one that drives the cord, so it's a lot simpler to restring the cord on this one, because all the cord does is move the pointer across the scale. It doesn't have any effect on the actual tuning, so it doesn't need as much of the silly gearing and two-step pulleys that other radios need. So I've done a bit of work getting the Yacht Boy apart. It does come apart pretty easily, really. There's just a few screws hold the whole thing together. A couple of things that I have noticed. One is that this little thing here is quite annoying. That's got bent in. Now I thought maybe I could push that back out. I think possibly the answer to that is going to be to take the speaker out, which would give us access to that. So we can try that. Yeah, that looks much better, doesn't it? I think possibly might need to just put a little bit of glue on there to hold it back, but it looks a lot better than it did now. While we've got this open also, there's a lot of old orange dust in here. Now that's largely come from these sort of foam pads that would have been in here but have all disintegrated over the years. So while there's nothing else in this, I'll give this a good clean out. Now aside of all that, I've done a couple of other things. I put the string back on here. So that's now working again, and also I found managed to get hold of a couple of collet fixing knobs, which are not the ideal things, so you screw this thing together and it grips it. I got 4 of them and 2 of them work, one of them doesn't. I haven't tried the other, but anyway, these are not the exact original design, but they work, and we can get a little pull switch functionality that's on this one is now there. So that should be fine. Obviously clean this up once I've done it. There's a little lamp here, and this is a real, I mean there were, so I managed to get these 2 things out, which are the backing, which give you a white backing for the tuning things, show it properly through the window. Now this little lamp here, it's an old style wedge bulb, which you can still get. The problem is getting the things in and out are quite difficult. That has obviously, yeah, that's obviously all black, that's gone. And it's a 7-volt bulb. I couldn't get any 7-volt bulbs. I've got a 6-volt bulb, so what I'll probably do is alter this, I think it's that resistor there, 91 ohm, well, so 39 ohm, sorry. Resistor, which you can just about see there. Maybe I'll just increase that a little bit to deal with the 6-volt bulb, although it may not be very much in it. We can try it out. I've got quite a few bulbs anyway, so if I blow one of them it doesn't matter. Other thing is powering. Now I've finally worked this out. So this pair of wires that went to the socket at the back would have been the pair of wires that would have fixed into the mains adapter, which was an optional extra, which would have gone in, I think, in here. The actual battery box is still in place, and the wires here from that go to this mains battery selector switch, which you can see there, and you can see the front of here. So all that is in place. The thing is that if you put a battery feed into here, this comes back to this issue of the light, because if you look at the circuit diagram, you can see that there's some elaborate, well not elaborate, but there's some switching to make sure that when you have the mains adapter in, the lamp will be on all the time, whereas if you didn't have the mains adapter in, if you're running off of the battery, then the idea is that the lamp is off all the time, so it doesn't run your battery down. You have this momentary push switch to put the lamp on. You just have to hold it, so you just get a lamp on for a few seconds to see things, and then it does it. Like I said, it doesn't run your battery down. This is a bit loose as well. This is a little tuning cum battery meter, so the idea is it gives you a tuning indication on here, and also if you press this in, it gives you your, you know, how high your battery is, whether your battery is running down. So you could still put 6 D cells in here. That would make it quite heavy, I think. I have a feeling that you know, a PP9 would go quite nicely in there. It would mean you'd have to take the back of the box off to change your battery, but I don't think that's a massive imposition. Whether it would run off a PP3 or not, I'm not sure. It's quite a heavy radio. It might take quite a bit of current, in which case I could put one of those draw things in that I was going on about the other week. Yeah, but there's a few things to look at, and I think I should be able to get most of them fixed up today. Right, now I've started putting this back together, and if you remember, we had a bit of a problem with the long wave, so I've sort of got enough of it here that we were getting this noise here. Now that's usually pretty easy to fix, and actually I think I can see it. If you look and bring you in a little bit here, you see that vein there of the tuning capacitor has got a little bit pushed in, and I reckon that's what's happening. It's just shorting out on the long wave tuning. So what I'm going to do is just carefully prise that out a little bit. Now I'll turn the volume down while I do it, it'll be a bit less annoying. Maybe other ones as well. I'll probably have to twink it around further. But I think it's got to be a bit careful because you don't want to break it, or make it not go together. Just want to see if that's still got travel. That one looks a little bit iffy as well, actually. Let's bring that out a bit. And hopefully, I'm going to put the volume back on now. Yeah, and we're getting signal now. So that's fixed the long wave. So that's long wave. Let's try medium wave. See if we get anything there. Yeah, so medium wave's working as well. I'll just check it across the whole band that it doesn't short out. I mean, there's a lot of interference in here as usual, but I'm not getting any of that popping and clicking. So that's not shorted out anymore. So I think that's pretty good. I'm going to put it all back together now, I think. As I said, the powering thing. So what I've done at the moment is where the mains will go, well, the sort of external power, because the mains adapter isn't fitted. So there was this external socket fitted here. So it's one of those dual pin, you know, concentric pin things that you can never work out which is positive and which is negative. But I'll wire that up to here eventually, and then you can put an external 9-volt supply in. Again, I'm not sure whether I put a PP9 or a PP3 in this bit for the battery and then wire it up to the front, where if I turn this around carefully, you can see the battery can, and also of course because it thinks it's being powered from the mains, the light is now on all the time. So you can see these two connections here are the battery ones, so I could either wire a PP9 adapter up to them or a PP3 one. I think I'll do a PP3 one, see how it goes. Yeah, and I think that'll be pretty good to go once that's done. So it's pretty much all back together. I've redone the I put this battery case in like I put in on some of the other radios. Doesn't mean you have to take the back off to change the battery, but it's still possible to not use that and use the 6 HP2 cells or the big D cells if you're into carrying really heavy things about. or if the PP3 turns out to be not meaty enough for it. I've also bypassed the bizarre white positive, brown negative convention here and put that back to that socket in a more conventional way. Yeah, so I think it's ready to go back together and have a full test, really. I always feel with Grundigs it's necessary to have a innuendo amnesty at the beginning of the video, which I didn't do. But truly I have always hankered after a Yacht Boy. It was one of the best radios around when I was a kid, and obviously it was well out of my reach, and now I have one. It's all back together. It needs a bit of cosmetic work still. I've put a temporary label on the top here so I know what the buttons are. One thing I will say is this bass cut boost thing here is ludicrous amount of bass.
Plumbing behind Sharman's Garden Centre. For that perfect bathroom, just add water.
Star Travel. More from our 70s year.
There is so much bass there, it's unbelievable. I think you work with that permanently pulled out.
Water Beach, the road has reopened following that earlier accident in between Silverwood Lodge Guest House and the Water Beach Industrial Estate.
And even then, there's lots and lots of bass. There's no shortage of bass there. It's a very good sound on all the wave bands, really. Well, I haven't really looked at much on shortwave, but yeah, it's a very nice sound on long wave and medium wave as well. So yeah, like I said, a little bit of cosmetic cleanup is still needed. There's a bit of a decorative strip missing around the back here. I put a bit of Mr. Sheen on the veneer. It's not solid wood, it's just a veneer on top of the plastic, but it you know, it's come up reasonably well. So I'll do a bit more work on that. But other than that, having fixed the various other things, oh, and the little light now works on a momentary basis. So yeah, I'm quite pleased that the Yacht Boy's finally sailing.